Dustin's back. Tell your friends. Dustin Brunell has once again returned to the podcast. How you doing, buddy?
Oh man, I'm excited. You guys doing okay?
Yeah,
Right on.
I'm
I
excited.
love to hear it.
I'm excited too. Actually, like you were one of the nice. Like honestly, you were one of the nicer guests I had when we first came on the show. It's like I was waiting to hear him come back, and time just flies. I've done a few hundred episodes since your last came back.
Yeah, oh man, you put in a lot of work, bro. Like you do a
Yeah,
lot
well,
of
this is you got like what it comes down to. Like, in I made a decision about like 3 years ago, right? To I'm just gonna chase my passions for the rest of my life. That's it. Like I'm not
win.
interested. I'm not interested in anything else. Like the pandemic, like right when the pandemic started, that was what I was going to do. My first stop would have been working in the movie industry. That didn't work out because there's this thing called an act of God. But I mean but I was also like I'm committed. Like I want to write the stories I want to write. I want to hear people tell their stories the way I want to tell them, and I kind of want to travel and see the world and meet great people. That's what I want to do. That's it. It sounds really simple, but that's it.
Well, I mean, that sounds like a lot of fun to me.
Well, yeah.
I mean, we just got back from Vegas like 4 days ago, so.
Yeah, no. I actually, one of my goals next year is to actually have a booth in some. I don't know if I'm gonna have booths in big shows next year yet or not. It's gonna vary. I gotta build up. Rome wasn't built in a day, and as much as I want to go with super speed, right? I may not be able to hit the big shows next year, but my goal is next year. My first stops are going to be in the States. Like I'm going to go Western Canada, the States. I might go see my grandmother in Detroit because I couldn't see her during the pandemic at all because of the way the border situation was.
For sure.
But after that, like I won't be looking necessarily at big shows next year. I'll be looking at smaller shows, right? And be like, can I get in? Because it's easier to get. There's that, but it's also they're easier to get into. Like you can build a rapport and a community in different places that way.
Absolutely.
And then, right? And I think there's more value in that. I think in the short term. And then when I figure out the places I really want to go, then I start going back into the bigger shows again, right?
For sure.
So it seems easier to get into the bigger shows because everybody's like, hey, we want everybody to come back. But I don't know if that's the case, right? So, I mean, you know that better than me.
I think the bigger shows are right now, though, you look at things like they want money, you know what I mean? And that's not, everybody wants money, that's not really the drive, but it's the more people you can bring to the show that are going to spend money is what they look at your bigger shows. You know what I mean? Are you a draw to the area? How many people would come to see you? How many, this past year, my first year, so we're going into year 3 come October. We'll start year 3. And for me, year 1 was learning what shows I could go to, what shows would be interested in having the brand, Year 2 was headlining shows. This year we've headlined like 9 different shows, which was great. And I think we did 15 different shows around the country this year. This last one will be my last one for the year because all the holidays coming up and birthdays and all that jazz. But plus I've got 9 books that are going to drop before now in January. So I'm really like trying to make sure that I'm not killing myself in between. Well, yeah.
No, you're going to be advertising. You're going to be advertising like a sieve. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
you're going to be advertising like a SIP in the next few months.
Absolutely. Right now, we do a book a month, and starting next month is 2 books a month. So it's a very exciting time period. It's also an evolution of what we do. So it's like we're trying to make sure that the artists understand the timelines and your newer writers understand their timelines, and because we have 6 writers now, 40 different artists, 9 different IPs, there's a lot going on. So we always want to make sure that everybody has enough time and they're not pressured to get the product done, so it's like, it's very new for us to have this amount of product, this amount of time. So we're trying to make sure we ease our way into it.
You're becoming a mogul.
Man, we're really trying. I'm very grateful to the fans because the fans are the lifeblood of the business, and it's. I'm also very, very grateful to my art director. Bladen Hunter is a great guy, and he's done a lot to make sure that this entity is moving in the direction we want it to. Because we're building a team, and I say that very seriously, not contractors. We're building a team,
Mhm.
and with the people we have, almost everybody on our team is people that have been with Marvel, people have been with DC, they've been with Zenoscope, they've been with Image, and are looking for new horizons due to things that have happened in the industry. So I'm all like over here with arms wide open, you know what I mean? I'll start singing Creed if I need to, but where it's just everything's good.
Well, that is in all fairness, that is Creed's best song. Probably Creed's best song. In all honesty, probably. It just, I do like Higher. I do think that's a good song too.
Right, right.
I like, right, but I mean, the intimacy of with Arms Wide Open is amazing, amazing, amazing song.
Pretty
As an
epic.
aside,
I'm a big
as
fan
an
of
aside,
My Own Prison as well. You know what I mean? I think
my own prison's a fun like that. I think I like their first album better. Their
For
second
sure.
album's very, very. I think the hits on the second album are bigger,
Yeah, yeah.
but I think the first album has a certain amount of heart that I really, really dig. And the third
Yeah.
album, I think, was it's. I think the third album is really good. I just think, I mean, that's a band that went too much too quickly.
Yeah, too hard,
And
too fast, right? Yeah, yeah. Like
yeah,
you gotta ease into things. Like ugh,
yeah, oh, yeah. Well, yeah, but I
I
mean, Alter Bridge, which is a really good band.
for sure. For sure. Alter Bridge is great though. Oh my gosh. Alter Bridge was a lot of fun, man. For sure.
Yeah,
Um
yeah, it's the same. Yeah. Hey, Smokey. So
what's up,
no,
buddy?
it is like no, yeah, no. Alter Bridge is essentially Creed with Miles Kennedy, and Miles is, all fairness to Scott, a way better singer. Like he just what he can
For sure.
hit is just incredible.
I agree.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we I'm a big every type of metal or music fan except for country music. I can jam just about anything. But I think my favorite band is still probably going to be Coheed and Cambria because I find myself I've been a big fan for many, many, many years now. Since like oh my gosh, probably since the first album dropped. After the band changed was probably my intro into the band. I think I was like 19, so probably almost 17, 18 years ago. But when I write at night, that's my go-to, shut the office door, jam out a little bit, and that's the go-to for sure.
So for fun, I'm into metal.
Yeah,
I mean, I interview metal bands. I interview metal bands on my show now too,
dope.
which is kind of cool. I've interviewed people like Stormbound from Israel and other places from all. It's a really cool, uh,
Hmm.
like this experience.
Yes,
But when I write, I gotta. I'm not gonna lie. It's pop music. I've
really.
been this right now for me. Yeah. Right now for me, it's either Lights' current album, which is Pep, which is really, really fun. I like the etherealness of her style. She's pretty fun. Avril Lavigne's newest album, for some reason, I like it.
I heard she made a
And
comeback.
what? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I heard what was that on Fire song with that dude that rapper like that punk rapper guy.
Oh, you mean Machine Gun Kelly? Yes.
No, 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 not
Eminem,
him. It's
the
no,
rap industry.
no, he's a oh my gosh, I
Him?
can't remember what his name is. I don't know. He looks like Machine Gun Kelly, but it's not Machine Gun Kelly. Um, I wish I could remember his name. His stuff's good. For that pop punk rap.
Yeah. Um, Metallica and Motorhead are metal. I mean, they've been metal for a long time, Samoki. They've been like they're not my favorite metals. Motorhead. I mean, I respect. I mean, you gotta respect both bands for what they've done, but honestly, right now, for me, medical wise, I love Nightwish. I love Amon Amarth. I love like I like the heavier stuff when I'm really listening.
Old school,
I like European power metal.
Lacuna Coil,
right? If you want something more, I like. Yeah, Lacuna Coil, Epica. For more recent stuff, like one of the bands I really enjoyed was Crusade of Bards. They're a pirate metal band from Spain. Like that stuff's pretty fun.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's fun. Like right now, when like we just picked up a couple new writers. One of them's from Aftershock, and the other one's from DC, and it's a lot of those guys. We write a lot of different books, a lot of different styles of books. So when like if it's down to like If It Hops, which is great because everybody's getting their If It Hops books the past few weeks and this week and whatnot. And I love like some old school Blink-182 when I'm putting out If It Hops. Like I'm like old school. Like you're talking and then you get into like Cheshire Cat and shit like that. And then when we put out like Babes, Gore, and Dinosaurs, it's like Orgy. I'm a big fan of Dreams and Digital, so but I think music has a flow that helps people write. And a lot of people I know will in the industry will sit and write like with no sound at all. Whereas I feel like I'm in like the middle of space when I write like that. I'm uncomfortable with the nothingness because I only really get to write in the dark because I have a 4-year-old son, a 12-year-old daughter. I'm married and I've got 2 dogs. You know what I mean? So it's like I only get to write in the middle of the night. So I'll write from like 10 o'clock till like 4 a.m. And it's like I just have to have that space. But if I do it with no sound, I just feel so alone in the universe that it's like I really need to have that vibe. Something needs to be pumping off the bass or something's going on. Another one that's big with me lately when I'm writing like Fallen Leaves, which is out on pre-order right now for Fallen Leaves is live. And right now I'm a big Tech 9 fan, like a big Tech 9. So like his newer stuff, like Face Off and whatnot with The Rock on it is on my playlist all the time when I write Fallen Leaves. Like I'm a big fan of his stuff. I mean, he's been around forever. He's like literally done it with everybody. So I love listening to him and a little bit of Slipknot in there every now and then lately. I've been jamming to some Slipknot again. Been a long time since Iowa came out.
I'm so with Slipknot. I think when they're good, but I kind of feel like they hit a certain groove. They're great, but sometimes it's like I kind of feel like you're just there, and that's just I don't know. Like they're solid. Hey, listen, we all got our opinions, right, about what we think is good and bad, or what does it for us. I think that's the thing about music, right? When I'm writing, I like softer stuff. Like I'm not.
Sure.
I'm very rarely do I want to have my blood really pumping because I feel like for me the creative space is like a zen space. So I kind of enhances the spend. Kind of go to a Monomarth, or if I even go to Nightwish, or if I go to Nightwish is kind of right on the border. Tara Tuinen or someone like that, they're on the border because it still got the symphonic style. So I kind of can go a little harder there, but even then, there's only to a certain point. There's to a certain point, then it's just like I can't do it. I just like I get too caught up in the music. So and then it's like, but when I read something, but like the other person I've been listening to a lot lately that surprises me is Taylor Swift, and it was just like, wow.
I wouldn't even begin to know how to have a conversation in that realm. You know what I mean? But I know the name. But there's a lot of
well, actually, the reason
I think there's a big latency issue here. I'm not trying to mess with you up. I think there's a big latency issue going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But no, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. This is the Canadian thing. We're just doing the Canadian. I'm sorry. You were saying you just go. I'll shut up and tell you.
No, man, it's your show. I'm excited. Like I honestly, we haven't done a live show in other than my own show that I do on Friday nights. Generally, I'm doing this instead tonight. But we haven't done a live show in 8 months, 9 months, because I don't advertise like that or do them very often anymore because my time, like I don't have it. I wish I did. Like my daughter, she's in this new school now where they don't have buses. So I'm literally in the car for 4 hours a day driving her to and from school. So like my time to do anything anymore is like absolutely smashed. But again, right now, I think that we're having a lot of fun. I think the industry's looking good. Doing shows like the live shows and going to cons and stuff like that. Cons, I think, are becoming more and more relevant to the fans than they've ever been, honestly, because of COVID. People want to get outside, So, like, right now, like I said, the last show we did before Vegas was Phoenix Fan Fusion. I'm from the East Coast, so I live in Tennessee now, but I'm from Florida, and most of the shows I've ever done are all up and down the East Coast. So, excuse me. So now going into like out west, we're meeting all these incredible fans that we didn't even know existed over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun to get to go out and meet folks and see folks. I know that like this last show, we had 7 of our team members in Vegas. So it's a really big deal for us as a brand. And that was great fun because a lot of these people have never met each other in person, have never been around each other. So that was awesome. And then you got like 10 diehard fans there too, like diehard, flew in from all over the country. Love them to pieces. They're incredible. But they literally were flying in from all over and bullshitting and hanging out. And, we went to dinner with so many different people every night we were there. And like it was a really nice reception for the brand as a whole and a great show to end the year off. But next year, I think we're in a show. We're at a convention like every other month.
Yeah.
For the whole year. And that's going to be batshit crazy. I'm really excited about it, but it's going to be batshit crazy.
Yes. That's good. Like for me, my first Kickstarter for myself is probably going to be, I'm going to say January or February next year.
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing a Dr. Seuss style golden storybook that also masquerades as a comic. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to put that to do. In my opinion, Dr. Seuss is one of the 3 greatest graphic novelists ever. Like he's in my top 3. So I'm doing something to homage him, and then I have a physical copy of a book called my Alice series. I'm doing Alice in Wonderland Greek mythology mashup.
Right, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, so that's one, and then I have another series I want to do at the end of the year. Now, in the meantime, this podcast is going to hit 1,000 episodes, and then when I hit episode 1,000, I change the direction of the show again. Like I'm just going because I've done. I'll have done about 500 episodes in this format, and which I think is really cool. But I want, again, you want to expand the show, and I have like an end goal in mind. So I want to do something a little different once I break 1,000 for a little bit, and then kind of before I get to hopefully the next step. And no, man, like I said, and then while I'm doing that, I'm traveling and meeting. Like I'll be doing a lot of, like I said, the smaller shows next year, wherever I can go get a table, even if it's just like first Fridays in cities for a month. That's fine by me too. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I just don't care. And then yeah, that's it. Life's too short. You got to figure out what your priorities are in your life, and you just got to do them. That's it. Like, it sounds simple, but
well, a lot of people can't. One thing that people have a hard time doing is I've been in management for almost 17 years, and one of the biggest things is being able to visualize what you want to achieve. You know what I mean? Being able to see what your goal is. And a lot of folks will say, yeah, I want to do this. Like, all right, let's talk about bathing suit season. Okay. People will be like, all right, well, it's the end of bathing suit season. I'm going to, eat what I want, do what I want, but I want to be ready again for bathing suit season. Okay. But you'll get all these folks that say that, and then they get there, and it's like they're not ready because obviously it wasn't that important. You know what I mean? And we act like we can see it and we can visualize our victory ahead of time, but that's what separates people from the people that are going to accomplish their goals and the people that aren't, is literally the drive, the want to do so. You know, if you're like, we decided when we were going to put out a book a month that we were going to do it. There was nothing going to stop us from putting out a book a month. You know, I wanted the money, I wanted the brand out, I wanted to be able to, you know, to be able to take care of all these people we work with. You know, it was because the industry is not where it was at 40 years ago. You know what I mean? It's not where it was at 30 years ago. You know, and
it's not even where it was at 5 years ago. Like honestly,
you know,
looking at it.
Mhm.
Because I get where you're coming from, because there's a huge opportunity for guys like you right now, because there is a huge gap that used to, once upon a time, DC, Marvel, and we're gonna say Dark Horse. I'm going back to like the 80s now,
for sure,
right? They had the distribution and the channels to reach so many different people, and they had. I would argue DC Comics in the mid 1980s was the absolute best it ever was. Same with Marvel. Like that was the absolute their peaks.
Absolutely.
Diamond became their sole distributor. It killed a lot of their business. They didn't realize it until they were already neck deep in it, but it killed their business. So
having owned a shop, I saw the ins and outs of Diamond and using previews, and it was awful. It was a terrible experience. Now, when when we pitched the listener to them a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, they wanted nothing to do with it. Right? They wanted nothing to do with it. So then they came to us about BGD. They wanted to put BGD in previews, but they wanted to do BGD in previews for $4.99, and I was like, no, I'm not fucking putting BGD in previews for $4.99 because I'm not going to see a dime of it. I'm not a single dime of it, because what people don't know about previews is, and Diamond as a whole, and I don't know that it was finite and like laid out for DC or Marvel either at the time very well, was you have to pay to print all that shit, and then it goes to them. So not only are you paying to print it, you're shipping it to them. Okay.
Yep.
So like, to print one of my books right now, it doesn't matter what title it is. It's 1 to 32 pages, full color cardstock, all the way through the whole book. Okay. It's $3.60 from here in the US when you print it here. $3.60. If you're saying that I'm supposed to sell my book for $4.99, and then you're going to tell me that I've got to give a discount to the retailer, so he's going to catch so much discount, and then you're going to take a percentage of the sales, I'm in the hole on every book. Like, I'm literally in the hole on every single book. Like, everybody's like, well, you're going to make so many sales that you're digging. No, you don't, because you're in negative on every single book you put out. So you don't. All you're getting is steam, and that's cool, but
it's poor business. Again, you want to get paid. This is where this is a business. You want to get paid. So here's the catch. Like I've said this on, like, not just comics, but publishing has decentralized. So it's an interesting opportunity, because if you can build an audience for yourself now, you don't really need a publisher in the sense that you needed them in the past. Now, that doesn't mean you're not above doing business with them or a distributor or anything like that, because yes, you're a businessman. They have access to an audience you might not have access to, and that's cool. That's what you're interested in,
for sure.
But you're not going to do it for nothing. You're not a chump, right? You're not a chump.
We publish other people's books now. Like right now, we are, like I mentioned earlier, we're about to start 2 books a month. We're also about to start our second brand, which begins next month, which is Ethereal After Dark, which is much more mature titles than we put out now. And it's a very interesting concept when people are like, you know, you need to make X amount of dollars, or you may want to publish on your own. There's all kinds of shenanigans, first off, with different publishing, different places in the world. You know, when you're talking about legalities, who owns what, how much do you get, what's this, what's that. We do a percentage for anybody that comes into the company. If you want to publish with us, you get access to a bullpen of 40 something artists, you get writers, you get whatever you want, editors, you get, oh my God, the whole shenanigan, you get everything you could possibly need to put out a book, but the thing is, we are not taking just any book that comes in the door, and that's something that's different between us as a publisher and most publishers. Most publishers are out there to make a dollar. You know what I mean? They just want their dollar out of it. But when it comes to ethereal, we look at the fact that your product is a reflection of everybody else's product. If you're not going to lift the brand, then we don't offer the open door. You know what I mean? And it's very relevant to society right now, because there are a million incredible artists, incredible writers. There are a million of them out there. You know what I mean? And it's a dog eat dog mentality for these guys and gals that are looking for work. You hear the horror stories about the publishers that don't pay you. You hear the horror stories about the books that don't come out. You hear the horror stories of this and that every time you turn around. And I've just tried to make it my goal to make it a positive experience for people, because there's so much bullshit out there that I don't want you to come over here and have to deal with bullshit too. I'd rather it be super easy. You have a good time, you walk out, It's like going to Starbucks or going to Dunkin',
Yeah. It's, speaking of which, hi. No. But it's okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's right. No, so here's the thing. I've been in the industry as an artist for a long time, but there's a mind shift change when you're looking at it. Like I've said this, as an artist, you must always be humble. There's always
for sure
things to learn. Bold.
Absolutely.
That's just the way it is. And what you got to realize is, what I've realized in the last 2 years is that by and large, artists have not learned this lesson yet. A lot of them haven't. You have to be bold with what you're worth. If you're not, people are going to take advantage of you. You have to put out, you have to be willing to go, and you have to be willing to walk away. Here's the other thing too. Look, I don't care who's on the other end of the deal. If I'm getting a bad deal, right? If I'm getting a bad deal, I have to have the courage to say no.
Yes,
and that's
absolutely.
That's important. And I will make, and I'm not just going to let anyone come, even with this podcast. I have to be willing to be, I have to be hard sometimes. I had a marketing company come in for comic book people. I'm not going to name names. You might know who this is. They wanted, hey, we'll have you come on to the show, do this, but we want you to put our logo on your show. And I looked at him, it's like, that's a sponsorship deal, dude.
Yeah.
Like, right. He goes, no, we'll trade. It's like, no. Let me look it up and see what you got. Look this up. So I sent him a proposal. What it would cost him to get what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
What I'd be willing to work with him on, regardless, right? Because I'm always looking for gas. I mean, that's just the nature of the business, right?
Right.
But at the same time, it was funny because I stood up, he ran. He was expecting me, and it happens all the time.
A lot of these folks, so like right now, we have a firm that we work with right now that's on a trial basis with us. They're great people, you know what I mean? But I haven't used a marketing firm in almost 2 years.
Yes.
Because I got to this point where everybody kept telling me shit. Like they were like, do this or do that, or this is supposed to be this way. And I was like, what the fuck? So the minute I quit doing all the shit everyone told me to do, I started making a lot more money. Mm-hmm. Like it was the weirdest shit. Like they were like, do all the shows, right? So I did every show I could possibly get on. Every show I could fucking get on. And then it was like, when I quit doing that and I got more selective about who I wanted to spend my time with, more money came in. You know what I mean? Or who I wanted to advocate for. If I would come out and say an artist was great, or we had a good experience with this guy or that girl, that gal. You know what I mean? It was so much better for us than just going, yeah, let me put my name fucking everywhere, and we're gonna do these things, and it really was not worth. I'll say this: it's better off to be selective about where you're seen than being seen everywhere. You know, it's like that party, right? You go to the party, you got the hot chick with you, or the hot dude, whatever your preference is. You got the, you know, the hot candy on your arm. But what you forget is everybody's had the hot candy and the herp is there when you get back to the hotel and you don't want it. You know, so it's like now you've been around the block, you know, and everybody's seen you around the block versus when you come in, you're a little bit more mysterious, you know, you pop the collar a little bit, you talk to 2 or 3 people, you have a drink and then you leave, you know, and everybody's like, oh, who was that motherfucker? You know what I mean? And that's the reality of the industry as well. You know, if you come out and everybody knows your business and they know who you are and everything about you, you're no longer slightly mysterious. Like, when it comes to my books, you'll notice if you watch my Facebook, you watch my Instagram, whatever, I talk about a book for about 3 weeks. That's it. And then I talk about the next book for about 3 weeks. That's it. You know, it's a very, not everybody's the same though, mind you, of course not. But there's a mentality of, I don't want people to get bored, first off. But at the same time, I have to give you things of interest about us as a whole. You know, it's a finite line that we walk, you know, of, are we showing you too much? Are we giving away too much? And then there's the whole, like right now we're dealing with, it was a big deal for about 3 months when BGD started dropping real heavy. And then If It Hops dropped, was the whole a mature themed anthropomorphic characters. You know, it was a real big deal. And the furry community was involved and everybody wanted to talk about things and this and that. It was real heavy for about 4 months. And my thing was about that in particular subject is we've been fans of anthropomorphic characters since the 80s. We just didn't call them that. We called them Ninja Turtles. We called them Street Sharks. We called them Looney Tunes, you know, whatever. It was all the same shit. Mm-hmm. You know, we're just calling it a different thing. And now we're a mature company. It's a different type of content, you know. Now, the difference between somebody's bunny and my bunny is my bunny's got boobs, you know, and maybe theirs doesn't, you know.
So, okay, there's a lot to unpack there. Kind of want to say first thing first. Thank you, I guess, because you decided you want to come on the show again anyway. Absolutely. So, I mean, yeah. So, thank you. Second point. Okay, I think the one thing, you have a huge advantage, I think, in one sense, and I think this is why you can do it the way you do work so well for you. You have a quantity of good product constantly coming all the time. That's your okay. So someone like me doing a Kickstarter in say February, I'm probably going to be advertising it in January. Now the debate I have is how long do I make my campaign, right? Because that's, I think, the real interesting challenge. Because I look at someone, let's say, like Russell Novelty. He does like 3-week campaign.
That's what
he doesn't go very long.
Yeah,
right? 3 weeks, mm-hmm. Right? But it's my first one.
It's attention.
Just go the full month.
It's attention. The 3 weeks is so very important because attention. Because you set the goal low, set the goal real low, and use attention. Mm-hmm. Because your 3-week span is like, it's no bullshit about the attention thing. Because literally, like, that's why I told you, I literally only talk about a book for about 3 weeks. That's it. You know, because
it totally makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Well, you got you're like right now, your very first book, you come out and you've got your very first book. Okay. First off, you're going to do well to begin with. Don't worry about that. And the thing that you'll do well because you've been kind to a lot of people. And that I've watched people, we're not going to name names or anything, but I've watched people that are not writers or not creators that have come out and done great Kickstarters because they've been kind to people. You know what I mean? And that's a big deal, you know, because if you scratch my back, I'm certainly not going to forget you did it when you do a campaign. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm going to immediately come on and be like, hey, my buddy's campaign, he's doing a great thing, to check it out. Even if my campaigns are running, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? It's great. You know?
Yeah.
And I find that, like, again, with you have an advantage in that regard. So use that advantage. Market it for like a month, like you mentioned, because it is your first campaign. Market it for like a month, then come in and what are you thinking for your goal that you would like to have?
$3,000. I'm thinking
$3,000.
$3,000. I think that's a reasonable goal for a first time around. I got some cool
you want my opinion, or
people
do you
I
just
know
wanna...
that are doing. I got that. Sure.
Okay. How many pages is it?
It's going to be 20. It's going to be 24 pages. It's going to be a golden storybook and a comic. So there's a
Right.
collector's edition golden storybook
I'll
version,
tell you a
and then there's going
secret.
to be a
That they don't advertise. Okay. Now this is coming from a guy that's done. I think we've done 15 in 24 months that have been successful. I haven't had any that weren't successful. Well, let me put that out there first. But so 15 in 24 months. All right, which is more than averaging a book and a half a month. So when you look at Kickstarter, like if you go to mine right now, you go to www.fallenleavescomic.com. Okay. You go to that campaign, you check it out. My goal is $1,000. Mind you, it cost me $7.50 to create this issue, which is pretty normal for my books.
Did I get that right?
And yes, sir, absolutely. So when you go there, though, you'll notice that my goal is only $1,000, $1,000.
Okay.
And mind you, that is nowhere near what it costs me to produce a book. My shipping is more than that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
My printing is, for this particular issue, is probably going to run me almost $6,000. You know what I mean? So when you look at that, though, you're like, Dustin, why would you possibly put your goal so low? Okay. I fund in about 10 minutes flat. And what I'm saying to you about that is when you fund, though, Kickstarter starts pushing the product. They start showing the product off. They put you on mailing lists. They don't do that until you fund. So you're getting more advertising. That 10% you pay for from them actually comes into play after you fund. So I definitely would make sure that I keep my goal low so I fund quickly. I mean, to be fair, if my goal was 3,000, I'd probably fund in 20 minutes. You know what I mean? But the point is, when you come in that first time, it's very daunting. You know what I mean? And you want to get every advantage you possibly get. You know, especially being based in Canada, you're looking at a different type of a dollar ratio.
It's crazy, right? Yeah, like
right. Yeah, so you're gonna fund a lot faster if you were like, oh yeah, we're doing $1,000 Canadian. You know what I mean? Because if you got American backers, which you do, you're gonna have American backers that are gonna come in and be like, oh shit, we're gonna fund him up. And then you've also got your super backers and your things like that that'll see these projects and be like, oh, that's really, really cool. I love that you're doing a children's book. I get asked that once every 4 to 5 weeks. You're going to put a children's book out. Not me. I can't do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But I support everyone that does. And I think that you have this amazing concept that super backers will jump on. And they're the folks that are, you know, they have fundings from businesses, and they have, you know, funds put away to back certain projects that they want to build up, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'd go low, man. Go mad low, and then at the end of it, you know, the thing about Kickstarter is if you don't make the funds, you don't get any of them. Let's say that your goal was $3,000 and you hit $2,999 and you didn't fund, you don't get any of it. So I think the way to go is to be safe.
No, I know.
You know, and at least let's say you got $2,000, right? You've got it laid out for $3,000 your costs, and you got $2,000. You know, at least then you've got the $2,000 and you can work to get the rest of it to put the product out. You know what I mean? And then you've got a little bit more time, you know, to work with things. I went from a production ahead of time model to like my books were done ahead. Like I paid for everything out of pocket. I was literally like, oh yeah, fuck, you get your shit like right after the campaign ends. You know what I mean? Because I've already got the books. And that was good for us for a
Yep.
while. But then I looked at how much it costs me, because as we've grown as a company, my production costs have gone up substantially. You know what I mean? Like, instead of using indie interior artists, we went from indie artists to entirely published interiors, entirely published covers, you know what I mean? And all that shit, prices go up with all that, you know what I mean? So what we started doing was we looked at previews, and we looked at what previews does. Previews does pre-orders. You pay out 3 months. So what happens with previews is, when you get the preview magazine and you look at it, you're literally ordering 3 months in advance. So that's what we started doing, because people were used to that at comic shops. They would do their order and they get it 3 months out. So that's what we started doing with our books. It made it easier for us to swallow, the 5,000, 8,000 in production a month, and especially moving into 10,000 to 16,000 a month in production costs. So it was like, oh man. And look, and it's funny because everybody's like, well, you make so much money. You don't make so much money, because again, if I do a $20,000 Kickstarter and I put in 8 of it to the team, and then I put 5 of it into fucking printing and 2 of it into shipping, I'm at like $4,000 left. And then I've got other costs for the next book coming up. You know what I mean? It's not like you're out there getting rich. And that's what I try to tell people that are coming into the industry. Yeah, absolutely. You constantly have to look at the rotation. It is. It's literally like like old school water power. You know what I mean? You're literally watching the turn of how things work. Because I've watched in the past 3 years, all these cats come in, and it's like, it's a get rich quick scheme to these people. You know what I mean? They come in, they're like, oh, to make all this kind of fucking money. That's not the case, Jethro. Hold your horses a little bit, because it's literally like, I mean, right now we're grateful because like I said, our fans are incredible, and we get new ones every day, and they're all amazing people. But it's when you look at things like the cost of a book, what it costs to make it, what it costs to produce it, what it costs to ship it, and then you look at, let's say, like, let's make up a guy. So Bob is an artist, right? He's going to do all his own artwork. Okay. Bob's an artist doing all his own artwork. He's going to do his own Kickstarter with his own artwork. He's picked up a writer. He's picked up a letterer, or whatever else, and what have you. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm going to save so much money because this is my artwork. I don't have to pay, $4,000 in artwork for my book, right? But at the same time, no one knows who Bob is. No one has any clue who Bob is,
No.
And Bob also may not be as talented as Bob thinks Bob is. You know what I mean? So it gets to be a very slippery slope. How you can make money, who's going to make money. We were talking, I actually was talking at my daughter's school, I don't know, 2 months ago. And, you got all these kids that are coming in, and they're like, first off, you got kids that are scared to be writers. You got kids that are scared to be artists because they don't think that they can accomplish things. This conversation always starts on a negative note and it ends on a high note, because you're looking at a percentage, like we talked about earlier when we first started talking tonight. There's so many people that want to break into this industry. And the conversation starts with, how did you do it? Fuck, I have no idea. I worked with great people. That's it. That's all I can tell you. I surrounded myself with amazing people and a business plan. You know what I mean? Make sure you got a positive business plan. But when you go to these kids and they're like, I'm a great artist, I'm glad. That's amazing. But what makes you different than all the other great artists? What's the draw to you that they don't have? You know what I mean? There's a conversation about an individual, and we won't go too heavily into it because it generally starts a weird conversation. But there was an individual at DC that was hired recently that had never been a writer in their life. And a Batman writer was laid off to give this individual position to write Batman. Okay. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it happened.
do-ish. We're gonna say ish because
shenanigans all around. But
yeah. We don't want to get into the politics of it. That's not what we're talking about.
Anyway, so you got these. So kids see that first off. They see that opportunity. If amazing writer is knocked off, and anybody that can write can jump in and take their spot. You know what I mean? Now they want it. Now they're hungry for it. But what makes it okay? Or what makes you think that you can get that spot? Because it's tough. It's really tough. Because as a writer, I don't know that truthfully, outside of writing for tabletop RPG companies and stuff that I've done, I've never written for a comic company. So if I had to come in and try to write a comic book for a company, I don't know that they would have accepted me. And that's how I generally start these conversations, because I have no pedigree in that realm. I do now because of the work I've put in. But outside that, it's like the guy that gets out of college, right? He has no job experience. And in the US, no one's going to hire you with no job experience. So there's, how do you get it?
Yeah. So we'll strictly speak about this particular problem. We're not going to talk about the politics of the comic industry.
No. Yeah. I never get into the politics of it. It's a very interesting opener for people that are like, well, how do we break in? How do we get into this?
It's interesting because, but it raises a very valid point, and that's what we'll talk about here. The fact that, truth be told, can anybody write Batman? Yes,
right.
It's possible. Like, let's like, but what you got to look at is, okay, the real question is, as you said, is what do you bring to the table? What's the story you're going to tell that's going to fit this book, right? It's like we all can story to write about on some level. On second here. See, that thing just fixes. There it goes. All right. So here's the thing, right? The thing about Spider-Man, right? We all have to come up with that story. It's an easier one to tell. But
absolutely,
what a comic book. So guys, but the thing is, an editor or a publisher is going to look at a whole bunch of different things. Who are you, in the sense of what do you bring to the table? That's what every artist. That is the question every artist has to answer, no matter what it is. Who do you bring to the table? What makes your story so compelling that people want to at least pick it up, to at least look at it? Because that's the hardest thing to do. With books in particular, you are asking a reader to give their time to something. They're not going to have an idea what that is. We talked music earlier. Think about music. You listen to Creed. You listen for 1 minute, you know what you're going to get with Creed. You just camera, you know exactly what you're going to get. A comic, although a comic is easier than, say, a novel, it's still the same. It's still the same problem. What am I going to get when I open the pages, right? And some companies are more guilty of this than others. Again, we'll leave names out for the sake of that. But then here's the other aspect of the industry too, and this is something that I think a lot of creatives don't realize. Even if you get that book right now, you're not going to keep it. Your time will come, and your time will go, right? And it doesn't matter who you are. That top tier writer is still a top tier writer.
Absolutely.
Right. The thing is, their time, however it went, however it did, was up. They wanted to go in a different direction, and that's their right. Here's the other thing too. It's their property. It's like you with your stuff. Let's say, for the sake of argument, I go to you. I got a great little pitch for a story. You'd be like, "That sounds really cool." I write that pitch. It's great, but I'm done because I've told my story. All right. And again, there's a business. You might come to me and go, "Hey, what else do you got?" Then again, you might not. It might just be like, what? We've told a story, and that's your right. It's your property.
I think that it's interesting that when you, like, if you look at things like Marvel and DC, or even, not so much Image, or
even Image a little bit. Yeah,
Hulu picked up Image for a while, and was, or not Image, Spawn for a while. But it's generally been McFarlane for the duration of Spawn, with the, like I said, with the exception of Capullo for a little bit. But you've also got to look at things like look at Spider-Man. How many different people have written Spider-Man? How many different people have written the X-Men? It's a very it's very interesting. Like right now, it's easy. I think it's easier, truth be told. I think it's easier to pass over artwork than it is to pass over a writer. And that's not because I'm a writer. It has nothing to do with that. It's because of the fact that when it comes to a writer, like I said, we have 6. So our writers, when I hire them, I not only look at their pedigree, I look over their pitch, right? I look over their entire pitch. And when a writer comes to us, they come with like it's a big pitch. Like you've got character bios, you've got character designs, you've got the whole 9, right? Whereas your artists can come in with their portfolio and be like, hey, can I talk to your art director, see what your art director thinks? And they show the portfolio off to the art director, and he decides yay or nay how he feels about them. So I think that people have stopped, and it's going to sound terrible, but I think we see fewer and fewer writers a year versus how many artists we see coming up. So I hold I hold all of everybody to a standard, but when it comes to a writer, I think that uh, I think it might be a little bit. It's a different type of mentality when you come into a workplace environment. When it comes to my artists, if you bring in an artist, again, all the artists have to have pedigrees when they come to us. It's not even a conversation. It's literally, hey bud, what's your job experience? What do you bring to the table to elevate not just yourself, but the team you're working with? What do you bring to them as a whole to elevate everyone? And because again, it's a team mentality with us. Everybody's equally important.
Yeah.
Piece of it. The one thing I don't hire is I don't hire inkers. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, that blows my mind." Well, that's a dying skill set. I hate it, but it's a dying skill
set. Like most pencilers.
Right now, they're doing their own because it's money. You know what I mean? And if you can get a few, $20-$30 more page, $40 a page sometimes, why would you give that away? You know what I mean? I think that's part of the mentality of it.
Yeah.
But as a if you look at right now, Spider-Man, we use Spider-Man as an example because I have no qualms telling people how I feel about it right now. It used to be my favorite book, ever was my favorite book.
Before everybody has that.
Right. It was my absolute favorite book before Brand New Day happened. And after that, I have not really been able to pick it up since. But I saw an issue the other day, and I'm very secular in my time anymore. I don't read a lot of different things unless it's something that really catches my attention. When it comes to comic books, I only read indie stuff anymore. I don't read anything that's not indie. But I saw an image from the new Spider-Man stuff by Romita Jr. And I was immediately turned off by the entire book. And I'm over here going, what in the absolute fuck is going on with some of these books? Because if I can put out content like we put out, what's the big money doing? You know what I mean? Why are they not putting out quality content anymore? When you look at these guys, when they come into you for work, it shouldn't be like again, none of it should be political. It should never be, bullshit involved with a job. If you come in, it should be your skill set and I realize that's a fantasy, but it works for us. It works for us. You come in, you get the job because of your skill level, your talents, whatever else, like I said, my interior guys come from Marvel, DC, Zenescope. I mean, all across the board, and they're all great folks. But why can we print cardstock and Marvel can't? Why are we sitting here charging people, $6.99 or $4.99 to $7.99 for comic books if they're not even put together well? It's a very, I don't know, man. I look at all aspects of this and what you're paying for when you buy a comic book. Like our books are $14.99. They start at $14.99. Absolutely no qualms. They start at $14.99. Doesn't matter what issue. but you get 32 pages, full color, cardstock, all the way across the board. You know what I mean? And if you don't fucking like it, I'll buy it back. That's some car dealer shit, and I'm dead serious about it. Like
So
it's
I have I have two answers for you. And this is and right and your big advantage right now is you're a small, dedicated company that can focus on one thing. I think Marvel and DC in particular. Now, Image we can talk about. That's a different animal. Dark Horse a little bit. That's a different animal. But DC and Marvel have are trying to answer many different masters, and
for
they're
sure.
going by this old method of I'm going to print these books out with these kind of page counts and things like that for as cheap as possible because they're trying to hit as wide a net as possible. I'm not saying you're not going for a wide net, but what I think is you made for you the decision you made is we're going to make good books, and that's what we care about.
That's
It's
it.
not necessarily about the wide net. It's not necessarily about the wide net. It's about making the best books we can.
Absolutely.
DC and Marvel are about as wide a net as possible. That's why they like that's kind of by why I think their approach is the way it is. Now,
Right.
whether it's a good approach or not, that's another story. But what I'm saying there is they're looking at like I think DC and Marvel like their biggest competition is something like manga because
I
manga,
think
if
their
you really
biggest
sit there and think about
competition
it,
is themselves, to be honest. I don't even think manga is great. Manga storytelling is amazing. You know, the Japanese storytellers
yeah,
are fucking phenomenal. You know what I mean? But I'll
oh,
say this
absolutely,
when it comes to DC and Marvel, the issues start with all of the above. Okay. So like Kevin Feige coming out and saying the history or the the future of Marvel is not comic books, it's film. That was the first nail in the coffin for that business. Second off,
oh,
when
oh
you
yeah,
get these you get these spaces where you're now all of a sudden you're seeing uh, all these different stories again. You know, Civil War II, Civil War III. You know, it's a very and DC's doing it too because it's just they've been knocking off each other
oh
since
yeah,
both companies started. You know what I mean? So you're going to see them continuously putting out the same product to keep up with the other company because they always feel like they've got one ahead. Now I'm going to ask you this though that is really really telling about the industry because Dark Horse is done. It's done. I hate it, but it's done. You know, there's word that they
yeah.
may get Conan back. I don't see it happening. But you know, look at this. Todd McFarlane, right?
Mhm.
Owns Image. Been doing the shit for a while now. Okay. Always been buddies with Jim Lee. Always
Mhm.
been buddies with Jim Lee. You know. Now, if you look at what's going on in DC Comics right now, Jim Lee has stepped away from a lot of the overhead stuff and is doing art again. Okay.
Mhm.
Doing art. Now you've got a crossover between Spawn and Batman coming again. Okay. Now look at who's doing the artwork for that book.
Mhm.
Okay. Start putting shit together. Two and two start coming together. All these cats have worked together for a long time back in the day, you know. So I've been hearing a little bit around the water cooler that McFarlane might be stepping over and taking over a little bit of Image or DC. That's just what I've heard a little bit. So I think that'd be an interesting concept. And I think it saves DC. I honestly think it saves DC. I think DC's stories are not what they were. And if you put McFarlane in the seat, it's going to change things for the company. But that's just a guy that's watching a lot of things.
So no, listen, you might have an inside track. I don't. What I like looking at like I made more of a conscious decision this year to do Kickstarter stuff more, right?
For sure.
Like just because there's a couple of reasons for that, right? One, I like having like self-contained stories. And that's
For
something
sure.
that
Yeah, yeah.
neither company is doing very well right now. Neither company is doing that very well right now, right? And it's one of those things like I'm at that point in my life, comic collecting wise. I like most of my books are Image. The only like the biggest property I collect right now is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from IDW. See, I mean, right, and the reason, but the reason, and it's still one of the best books on the market today. But here's the thing: the reason why I'm collecting it, it's one, sometimes two books a month. It's easy. It's self-contained. I get a good story. I don't have to think about anything else.
90 characters you
I look
gotta
at
keep
DC.
up with, and yeah,
No,
no,
yeah,
I'm with you.
like they have a whole. I mean, they do have a big universe, but the thing is, they tell the stories in enough like in the bites that I get what I want.
Right. They also
I
do
look
the
at
nice little
DC.
micros. The micros are great that they put out, so you're
No, the
getting
micros are fun.
your
Like,
control, your
and when they do,
stories,
and when they do, yeah, and also when they do like the big projects, they're like last fantastic stuff, right?
Mhm.
Like that's, I mean, Last Ronin was my favorite book last year. Like,
It's
right, and
very
that's
well written. You know, my only grievance with Last Ronin, I think I enjoyed it. I think my only grievance was it was I wanted more of it. And to be honest with you, I wanted it in black and white. Like I really wanted it in that noir.
I can that okay. How about I'll give you this little conception. I get why you'd want that. I get it. I understand why they went the way they did. This was one of those
For
situations
sure.
where I get it. And if that's the worst thing you can say about it, I mean, it's still pretty
It
damn
was
good, right?
phenomenal.
Right,
Absolutely. It was absolutely beautiful. Like
right,
I
right.
really, really dug it. And the reason for anybody watching that why I would want it in black and white is because it's the first book in probably 20 years in Ninja Turtles that resembled the first run of Mirage's Ninja Turtles.
Actually, they did a Mirage homage this year.
Did they? Oh, dope.
The annual, they
Mhm.
actually went back. They actually fought a bad guy that could identify them by their bandana. So they actually, to beat them, they went old school. It was,
Oh,
I
red, yeah.
popped. I legit, no, yeah. I legitimately popped. It was awesome, right? Because they again, they acknowledge those things that they
Yeah,
do it in a really creative ways, right?
I love that.
So yeah, if you
Absolutely.
want that, yeah, if you want that, if you can find it, you'll get
Right.
your wish. It's like
Yeah,
they
I
do
need
a, like
to. I'm always been a fan. You know what I mean? There's certain books that
yeah.
are always going to be timeless, like absolutely timeless. Like I think that the more and more I put out, I find myself, and as I get older, you know what I mean? I find
Mhm.
myself uh hearkening back to the things that I read as a kid or the things I saw as a kid,
Yeah.
and I write. I almost write like if you go to any of our teams, which we've talked about once or twice live. I don't talk about it a lot, but I write to the skill set of the team that I'm writing for. You know, that's like it's funny because I don't have a problem writing. Writing is it comes very easy for me, and that's not a gloat or anything. It's just it happens. I can sit and
Yeah.
I can go.
Yes,
You
you
know
do.
what I mean? And but I write to the individuals. You know, if they want a fantasy book, I write a fantasy book. You know what I mean? Like if they want, I'll give you one. Here's an exclusive for you. Kill Cam. Kill Cam comes out in December. Kill Cam Space Cowgirls is the next IP coming from Ethereal, and you heard it first here with Josh. Um, and Kill Cam
Yeah.
Space Cowgirls was actually written for Bladen Hunter, who's the art director of Ethereal Comics. I wrote it for him because originally it was a joke because the initials BH, and I had called the book Bounty Hunter Babes or Bladen's Hunters, you know, at some point or some crazy shit. And but it's a lot of fun, and that's what I do for all the teams. Is I'll literally sit and I'll be like, what can I write to the strengths to this group of people that are doing the work? You know,
Yeah. No, because okay. But again, let's unpack. We're gonna wrap up. The last point I'm gonna make is my like Todd McFarlane on DC Comics. Todd McFarlane on DC Comics. He have to break that. He have to break them out of the crisis slash Batman problem. That's the thing, right? Right. I Batman's a great book. He's got a great
and who
world,
can't?
but
Who
I
other than Spawn can change your entire world, though?
Yeah, exactly. No, and I because and the other thing is I never want to see a crisis book again ever.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
so I'm so done with
You
it.
need to
Like,
get a hold of
no.
Dr. Manhattan and tell him we don't want to see that shit no more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So if McFarlane does take over, yeah, a little less Batman, just a little less. It's fine, and no more crisis. Just for the love of God, no more crisis books.
Put it away.
Okay,
Put it away.
Yeah, it's done. It means nothing anymore.
Give us some new stories.
Please, oh, for the love of God, please.
Hire Josh. Get Josh to
like,
come in there and write
one of
you
the
guys
biggest
some new
things you gotta
shit.
look at with an artist. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I was just saying,
exactly.
have him hire you, man. Bring you on there, tell him to come in, bring the Josh
Oh, no,
in there,
totally.
get him to do some good stuff. You know, I think that'd be dope.
Give me Green Lantern. I have I have an idea for a Green Lantern animated series. I would love to do it. I would love to do it.
I'd be about that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that'd be so cool. I got approached, I don't know, 6 months ago to talk about If It Hops and doing If It Hops animated. And man, 60 grand minimum to put that shit together. I was just like, we hear it all the time. You want to do the animated shows, and it's just like, it's so ridiculously expensive.
Oh, they're super. No, it's ridiculous. Like, I have mass respect for her. Like, the work she puts in, just even for a few minutes of a show. Holy crap! Yeah. Like animation, man, is no joke. It is mass respect. Anyway, I think like the best stuff in comics is literally the animated stuff right now, like the classic characters. But anyway, going what you're saying about artist strength, I look at the fact that artists have personalities. So what you want to do is you want to go, what are you going to have fun doing? Because if they're into it, it's going to be a better book. That's just what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Right? Like, I got guys that don't want to do books that don't have boobs in them, so I give them boobs all day. You know what I mean? That's what they want to do, and they excel at them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we we actually have Devin Massey and Mitch Massey on our team from Cave Woman. You know, so Devin does all the interiors for Cave Woman. He's been doing it for years. So it's awesome to see him do other interiors. Like, he works on our book called Theater 7. He does all the interiors for Theater 7. Which is great, mad fun. But speaking of Spawn, though, we've got both Kemps that have worked on Spawn since the early issues. It's cool to see these guys, and like I count myself truly blessed to sit around these folks, because they'll be talking about the industry from when I was like knee fucking high, and you'll hear the coolest stuff from folks that have just been, that know it better than anybody. That have been in it since 1987 or 1992, that can, and it's cool, man. It's a really cool experience.
Yeah, I mean, there's only a handful of guys who are older than that at this point. That is reminded I am getting older too, because the stuff I grew up with, most of those guys are now at the twilight of their careers.
Yeah,
it might be just as grateful. One, they're doing something different. They're doing something. They're getting a chance to still apply their craft in ways they never imagined. And they're like, because the other thing, the last thing I should mention too, yeah, it's cool. Like, it's cool that John Romita drew Spider-Man, and he loves it. But I also know there are people that are known for drawing stuff for so long that get sick of it too, and they like anything else. Yeah. Just give me something else. So
yeah, let me do something different. Yeah. No, for sure. It
happens all the time, man. It happens. Like, we all look for new challenges at some points in our lives, and it sounds like you're a place for it. So I'm going to ask this, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up for now. And that's this: you're a viable company, and you've been doing it your own way. Mm-hmm. So the last part about IP what we haven't talked about is, it's not even just the comics themselves. It's the other places you can sell your IP as well to keep generating. Because IP is, I truly believe, the last real big, like, it's the most important, like, money area in the world, because it's the one of the few places that will never dry up.
Right.
Because everybody's always going to want new ideas. My question is to you then is, so are you going to keep expanding? Like, obviously comics are going to be your focus, but are you looking at video games? Are you looking at, like you mentioned do you have goals in that direction as well?
So when we started our first year, and a lot of this boils down to revenue, right? So when we first started, I think the first year we did I paid out 86 grand my first year, and we took a loss, and I don't mind talking about it, but we took a loss, and I think we made like 65. Okay. Year two, this year will have broken 200,000 in revenue. And so the way that I view things like that is, what can I afford to do? Whereas again, when you talk about what your costs of everything, I'm at 160,000 for the year that I've put in. You know what I mean? So now you're looking at what is left out of that we've paid out to everybody. You know, we've still got a few more months left this year, you know, so what will be left? And after we've paid the bills and everybody's been fed and clothed and whatever else, what's left? And I think that's an important thing to look at in your business plan and how far you're looking ahead into the future. So like right now, we've started, I think, well, anyway, I started, we have a contract with a statue company now. They're doing, If It Hops statues, like ladies, agency statues that are like 12, 13 inches tall right now. And they're great. They're beautiful. They're all hand painted. You don't get any wonky fucking weird eyes or anything like that with my statues. You know, we went into that route because everybody told me toys would be expensive. And I was like, well, I'll go one better than a toy, you know? So then we went into pillows. Like there's a full size body pillow over there of ours on the floor. But and our pillows actually come with real implants, like actual implants. So they're a little bit more expensive than most, but they go from A to G. You can get. So they come in real big fun size.
That's awesome.
They are so good. They're like $350 a piece because you pay for the memories that go with them.
You're paying for the implant.
But,
yeah.
It's a real implant. Like I kid you not, it's an actual implant that's in there. But then we went into this year coming up is collectible trading cards in blister packs. We're working on those little things, you know, because little things add up. You know, when it comes to a TV show, we have a pitch that's done. I've also got a theme song that's being worked on right now, because what I do, and I think that it's really relevant, is you mentioned your short and long-term goals earlier. Like I always keep my short-term goals like within 2 months. Like I'm going to accomplish this in like 2 months. My long-term goals are literally like 4 to 5 months. I don't do them longer than that because I am a very goal-oriented individual. Like I push and I push and I push, you know, to get where I want to be. And it's served us well so far. You just don't want to burn out like that. You don't want to, you know, take yourself out of the equation. But so the TV show that I think that eventually, because we've got like, I don't know, we did like a 5-second clip for Babes Born Dinosaurs trailer, you know, and it was so cool. But at the same time, it took us hours upon hours to get it to look the way we wanted it to look. And it's only 5 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I've done animation. I know how long it takes. Like an hour a second, essentially.
Basically, you know what I mean? And it's like, fuck, you know, and it's so expensive to get other people to do it, you know. And as an engineer, I was like, well, you know, I'll handle it, or Bladen will handle it. One of us will get it done. And it's just right now, like I said, the pitch is there, but I don't want to pitch it without footage. You know what I mean? So it's literally like one of those things where we're doing a little bit here, doing a little bit there. Like I said, we've got a theme song that's being done right now by a band that's going to be great that you guys know. So that's going to be fucking awesome. And then like full band, really cool band. I'm excited. It's not Creed, thankfully, but I'm excited. Yeah, you don't want new Creed.
Fine.
You want old Creed if
But,
you get Creed. Don't. Oh, but no, there's.
yeah. Well, sorry, I was just laughing a little bit
we.
at that. Just no,
Oh
because
man. Well, we've put it together in a way that I think by the end of next year there'll be news about it, a pitch at a minimum, a pitch, because right now I don't want to pitch to Netflix. I would really like to pitch to HBO. That would be my go-to pitch, just because of McFarlane's success with them in the '90s. I really think that'd be a cool place to go. And they also put all the great DC stuff on there, all the great animated DC films and stuff. I think that'd be a good space for us.
Harley Quinn right now is my favorite animated show. It's
Right?
hilarious. It
It's
is so
so
hilarious.
much fun. It really is. And I mean, if you guys have read anything of ours, it's very adult. It's very. I mean, BGD is very dark. It's very fun, but it's a very dark world. So it's like, I think it would fit, and I like that real gritty style. The animation style that they did Spawn in. I think that'd be a really fun way to do it. But finding people that are like right now, I can build the rigs and we can animate like with CG animation. That's fine, but I don't want to do it that way. I really want it to be like old school, drawn out animation, and that's a skill that is highly sought after and is hard to find anymore. Like really, that's not going to break your back. Like we looked
Well,
at. Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, it's true but again, you understand why it breaks your back because it's
Absolutely.
so hard to do. It's so hard to do.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I really like that. What is that show with the cave dude and the dinosaur Primal?
Okay.
That's great. I love that style of animation. I think that'd do really well as well. But that's the long goal right now. The My most recent long term goal was to have 2 books out a month, and again that starts next month. So we're literally releasing 2 books. You'll get If It Hops issue 2 will drop at the end of next month, and then you've got April's Squee After Dark, which drops next month, which is on the red label, the Ethereal After Dark label. So that'll be a lot of fun. Like I said, 2 books a month, and then coming up after that, you've got the Underland, which drops, which was my take, and we had talked about that a long time ago. The My take on a underground subterranean Alice on Wonderland, or in
Yes.
Wonderland.
Okay.
So that actually drops in November. The full issue drops because we did our preview a couple months back, and then the cover compilation will be the second book that drops that month, which is great. I think we've got like 2 different covers, but it's a perfect bound compilation of every cover that we as a company have ever done. So I think it's like 300 and something pages. It's going to be awesome. And then December is Kill Cam Space Cowgirls drops, and the Christmas special drops, which is I think it's 12-page short story with something like 40 fucking pinups. So that'll be a lot of fun. That's the first time we've ever actually done a short story pinup book. I'm excited about that. And then come January, you've got brand new IPs. So we're ready. You mentioned manga earlier. We're very excited to put out our first manga-esque book in January. It's called My Metal Girl, which is we've talked about a few times in a few places. But My Metal Girl is a lot of fun. It's like a battle royale type of story about a world where you create your own battle girls, and the more victories you get, the more upgrades you can do to your battle girls, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's an ongoing series. It's my first love story. I've yet to write a love story, so I'm excited about that. But it's from me, so it's all the normal stuff that I like to throw in my books plus love stories. I think it'll do well. But you've also got for
So
anybody.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, you're so good, dude. Go ahead.
I was gonna. No. I was gonna say, like, when my Metal Girl drops, do you want to come back again?
Yeah,
That
we
sounds
can.
like that'd be a
I'll
fun one to
certainly
talk
come
to you
back.
about in particular.
Oh man, I really think that you'll
Yeah.
enjoy it. I think everybody's gonna have a lot of fun with it. It is boy meets girl, but other girl gets in the middle of it, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I think that interiors done by Mitch Massey for that book, whose brother does Cave Woman and Theater 7, so that'll be a lot of fun. He's a great artist. And I think people will get to see something different. And with every book that Ethereal puts out, it has to be different. Like,
Yes.
like even if we use the same interior teams, the art looks entirely different. Because I push us, and we push each other to grow and to constantly one up ourselves. And I'm very proud of every member of our team for that. I'm also very proud of the fans that come out and they like to voice their opinions. They tell us what they think of the stories, and that helps us thrive, and it helps us continue to build in different directions. But by the middle of next year, we'll have 14 different titles running. So I'm very, very excited. And like I said, we hire people all the time. By the end of next year, we should have 60 team members for Ethereal. Excuse me.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah,
And congratulations.
Cool, man. Yeah, you got to come hang out and write some shit for us, man. It'll be fun.
Well, we can talk about it when we go off the air if you want. Yeah, right. So this is right. Hold on a second. Here. Come here, you. So that's your current one, right? Mm-hmm. That's all going on right now.
It is. Yep. I think last time I looked, I think we were at
ladies and gentlemen.
I think we were at 16,000 last time I looked, 16 and a half, something like that. But it's so one cool thing that we do with our Kickstarters that's very different than most people is, and most campaigns is, I did all the bells and whistles when we started, right? I did all the fucking fancy add-ons and fancy, stretch goals and all that. And I found that the fans and the readers would rather have more content than bullshit. So what we do is our big stretch goal is additional pages. So whenever we reach a certain point, we add 6 full story pages, full color, and that's something that we really enjoy doing, is to be able to show you guys more story, and I think that's, I don't know. I think I love doing it. I absolutely love doing it. But a lot of what we do with those additional pages is lead you into new arcs, or like I said, I was a big Spider-Man fan, right? And I would wonder what was going on with other characters in Spider-Man. Like, what is the Sinister Six doing while Peter's out here throwing down with, Carnage? Yeah. What are they up to? So a lot of times in our additional pages, we'll give you short stories for the other characters and what they were doing in these time periods versus, what was happening with the main characters. Like the ones for Fallen Leaves are actually about a zombie goblin that can't talk, and he's trying to get to this necromancer to help her get out of this situation she's in. So he can't talk, he can't do anything. He's his brain's all jacked up. So it's almost like a little bit of humor thrown in this dark world that we've created, because he's tripping and fumbling through the swamp and stuff to try to get to her. It'll be a one shot as well. It's just 6 pages leading into a one shot.
Well, no, it's fair, because you're just like, you can't. There's not a long-term life with that, but they're still hilarious. Like, my favorite. I don't know if you ever watched the Powerpuff Girls back in the day, right? Powerpuff. Well, my favorite one was when the Gang Green Gang were doing prank calls on Powerpuff Girls,
right.
Get them
on the big phone,
yeah, and you see all the villains on their day off. It was that was one of the cool things about it. You saw him doing exercises. You saw.
Oh my gosh, him was so great.
No, him's one of my favorite bad guys of all time. Mojo Jojo was reading the paper, and
Yeah.
uh, and I can't remember the last guy's. He was just playing guitar in the pool. He's minding his own damn business. And he just got beat up, and he was like,
Right. Right.
I actually felt for him. I was like, yeah, that wasn't cool, and
Yeah.
and so, but it's my favorite one because him was like, oh. Yeah, so who is like? And you just got really nice to the Gangrene Gang because like, so
Yeah.
who is doing this? And then they all show up and kick the crap out of you. So you
Jesus.
prank called. We want to thank you. It's like, but it was still one of my favorite episodes of all time for that reason, right? Because it was
Yeah.
like,
For sure.
yeah,
I
but
think showing people that the world. So I'm a big fan of showing people that the world is larger than what you actually get to see, generally speaking. Like BGD, when we started it in issue 2 is the first time we did it, and it was like we started a short. Well, it leads into the main story, but it was called Stitches,
mhm.
and so Stitches was the first little mini story with Stitches was you were introduced to a character that is literally killing Saurian women in Senno City, and he's killing them to create a suit for his wife, who's human, who wishes she was Saurian. So he's chasing women that are shaped the same size as his wife, so she could fit into a suit and be a Saurian instead of a human.
Huh?
Um, And so he doesn't view himself as a villain. He views himself as doing the right thing for the person he loves. It's a very morally gray area for this character. Um, so in this issue of BG3 that we just dropped, we added more of that. You know what I mean? So that book actually goes to print in November. So you guys will get that in November, which will be great. I'm really, really excited about it. But I that's the kind of stuff that we lead into. If you're none of my books are real like happy go lucky hop up and down type of things. But if you're into the horror stuff, you're into the cop dramas, you're into shortly manga, you'll really really enjoy My Metal Girl. We've got Greed, we've got the Listener. The Listener has a whole new art team starting next year, which will be great. Really pumped about that. So lots going on, man. Lots,
Dude,
lots going on.
congrats on it. Congrats on
I
everything.
appreciate it.
Like honestly, congrats on absolutely
Yeah, thank
everything.
you.
So
It's been a
I'm gonna.
blessing.
So I'm just gonna. No, dude, pleasure's mine. So anyway, we're gonna go with this order for now because this is your current thing. So everybody go to fallonleavescomic.com if you want to support the Kickstarter going on right now. And Dustin, if they want to just find you and talk to you, how would they do that?
Oh, it's super easy. So all my social media is open, so you can just look for
Mhm.
me anywhere. Like whether it's the only one I don't use often, like at all, is Twitch. I should be better about Twitch, but I use Instagram. I'm on Twitter every now and then, but it's primarily Facebook and Instagram. But you can just look up my name. And like I said, I don't write under a pen name or anything. So it's real easy. I talk to everybody. There's no issues. If you want to reach out, you got questions, you want to talk, you want to bullshit. I literally talk to everybody. Like it's
And
it's a
there you
real
go. And
simple thing.
there you go. Go say hi to them.
Also,
Did I get that
yeah,
right?
man.
Did I get that right?
Or you could do Instagram .com/, ethereal publications. That's the one we like chase around. Um,
All right, hold
but,
on. Let me put that one in
another
there.
one everybody likes about that one is we put the nude covers all over that one, so people hang out on that one.
So Ethereal
Um,
Publications. Okay.
you got it. We that's it. We throw all the wild covers on that one so that people can check them out before they go to purchase. And then, like I said, Facebook. You can also join the Ethereal Facebook group, which people are on that like white on rice. I mean, like people post on there more than I do. So you guys can always go on there and check things out. We always put the new covers on there. Um, but yeah, I mean, you could just do a search for me on fucking Google and you'll find me somewhere and I'll answer, And I like it. I like to be able to be polite and speak to the fans or even people that aren't fans but are curious about being a fan, or
Yes.
even I don't even call our fans fans. anymore. They're friends, and my wife makes so much fun of me because it's like most of our fans become friends that are fans. So it's like it becomes much more personal, you know, where we like to be able to send you guys cool stuff and, you know, images that we haven't shown off yet or pages because I'm curious about your opinions. You know, I'll be like, you'll wake up and there'll be something in your inbox, and I'll be like, hey, you want to read this whole fucking book before we drop it? You know, I tend to do stuff like that, but it's fun. You know, we have a good time with it.
Sorry. Yeah.
You're good.
Looks like my chat has disappeared. So, on that note, Dustin. Oh, there it goes. It just came back. It just came back. One of those weird, one of those weird little like moments. No, there it goes.
Right on.
All right, there it goes. No, I just wait. Technology is a wonderful thing. Dustin, congrats on all your success. Sure. Congrats on all your success. Good luck next year. It sounds like you got that's a mammoth task. It is a mammoth task, regardless of what happens. It's a mammoth task, and if you do it, it's a major accomplishment to you. You've become a company, man. Like literally, you're not just you're a mogul. You're taking over.
Trying.
That's right.
We do it all together, man. We do it as a team.
All right. So for everybody watching and listening, if you guys are interested in advertising your books, your products, or your services, I do those things. I make audio, video, words, and pictures. And I do that here. More information on that. Check that out right there and then. And that will do it. I have a special little weekend episode tomorrow afternoon. Young adult author Zia. Yeah. Young adult author Zia. Man, I can't remember her last name. Again, trained professional here, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, she's awesome. And I'm definitely looking forward to having her on the show. And for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. Thanks, Dustin, for coming in. And I'll see you guys next time. Come on, you. Hit the button. Hit the button. Control G. One second. It won't let me this. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. I have my computer is definitely something that I need to replace at some point down the road. Hold on a sec here. There it goes. Almost. There we go. I think. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. Yes.